Welcome, and happy Monday. We saw you in the background, like run out. We were like, oh, there she goes.
Sorry, I'm here.
Oh, wow. That was great. That was fast.
Beautiful people.
Fast. Yes.
Beautiful Monday to you all. We're so excited to be here today. I love this topic so much. I had to thank you, Julianne Thorne, for coming up with this idea of what's one thing that we can do to help make a difference in our cats' lives. I'm all a tingle today.
Wow.
All a tingle. This is so exciting. So hello everyone joining us. For anyone new joining us, we're going to do a quick little intro of everyone, and then we're going to kick it over to Katie for a rundown of what we're doing.
Yes. So let's start. Dream team number 1, Pam. Tell us a little bit about you.
I am Pam Roussel with Purrrfectly Holistic. I am a holistic health coach, and I mainly work with cats, but I do also work with a few dogs. And my whole thing is finding the root cause and helping clients get their pets back into balance. I'm so thrilled. I've been doing this full time for a year. Last week, I couldn't believe it's been full time for a year. What a year! Let me just
What
say.
a year.
That's
great.
And we are so grateful for you. Yeah.
I love you guys so much. It's so good to be back. It's so good to be back together again. Our
It's
team.
our first round table of the year.
Yeah.
Yay!
Oh,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Julianne, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm finally here online and live. I managed to get my second cat in from outside and shut the cats up. So I can now relax and do the live in peace. So my name is Julianne Thorne, and I am from Naturally Cats, and I am a holistic cat therapist. So I help people reconnect and understand their cats. I use cat communication. I use cat chakra cleanses so I can balance their energy, and I use my secret weapon, which is herbs, to help their emotional states. So I'm also a qualified behaviorist. So I've got the kind of logical side and able to look at the behavior. But for me, the primary focus is the emotional and trying to support cats with that, to help them with problems and issues that they're facing, to give everybody a happy home.
Love it. Always giving cats a voice. Dr. Woodley.
All right. Hi, everyone. Ooh, 2023, right? So for everyone new here, welcome. All the beautiful people returning, welcome back. I'm Dr. Katie Woodley. I'm a holistic integrative veterinarian who's accumulated 3 black cats. So there's one. However, I empower pet parents across the world to really, truly dive in deep with nutrition, holistic medicine using herbs, Chinese herbal medicine, Western herbs, essential oils, food therapy, to really dive in and find, like Pam said, find that root cause of why things went wrong, so we can truly heal your pets and help them achieve optimal health for 20, 30 years, and really help them gain that longevity that we're all wanting and hoping for our entire fur family. So we do that through a lot of our group programs and coaching and mentoring, to make sure that you guys have the support and guidance along the way, because as we're going to talk about today, it can be confusing. It can feel really overwhelming, and I'm really excited about this talk because this is something that I've really dialed in for 2023 for my own self. So this topic, the one thing, I'm really, really excited to talk about.
Yay. Yeah. And you're right. It can seem overwhelming, especially for those of you guys that follow, like all of us. If you're consuming so much of our content, right? And we're saying like what you should feed, what you shouldn't feed, where you should, what you should be paying attention to, engagement, enrichment, all of this stuff. And it can be overwhelming, even for us sometimes, where it's like, what do I do? How can I figure out the one thing that I can do for my cat? And it is about baby steps, right? Like the baby Max, my baby.
Oh,
baby Max. Sorry.
But yeah, it can be overwhelming, but it is all about taking a look at that fuzzy tail.
Oh, yes, please.
It's not a
Come on.
We gotta have a cat butt somewhere.
Yeah, we always want to have.
And Katie, we were Dr. Woodley, we were talking right before. I'm acting all like casual with you, Katie.
Comment, Katie.
Dr. Katie, right before we went live, though, we were talking. We were all chatting about this, and you really kind of put it in a nutshell, kind of what Jay's saying as well. And that's what I want. If you could just kind of let everyone know kind of what this talk is going to be, because it is going to be very personal for us. But you had such a great way of saying that right before we went live. Let everyone know.
We'll try to repeat that, tap back into that.
Right.
However, the big thing here is I find that a lot of pet parents come to me when I see them, or I hear online when they're asking questions. There's a lot of, like I mentioned just before, there's a lot of overwhelm, and we start getting focused on like, I need to do this, I need to do that. And we end up going down the rabbit hole. So I just wanted to like pull the audience here too, to kind of kickstart, like, who here in 2023, right? We're all setting goals. We're all setting, like, that's always like January 1st. Like, what are our big goals? Who here, though, like halfway through the first month of the year is already feeling overwhelmed with where they're at? So maybe you have a cat that's experiencing a health condition. Maybe it's been a chronic health condition. Maybe it's something that you're just starting to notice, like some of these symptoms, and you're not sure what to think about it. So I'd love for people to just post in the comments, like, is there something, like, are you feeling overwhelmed currently? And this is like safe space, because we've all been there. We're all four of us, four groups are transparent. You're one. You guys, the two crazy cat ladies are one to me. They're both amazing. However, you know, I think it's important to be able to tap into that. And a lot of times we end up just putting our head down, dialing in, going into that rabbit hole, spending hours in the rabbit hole, trying to figure these things out on our own. And I always refer back to the metaphor of like, did we miss the forest for the trees? Like that tree, for example, is like that symptom. We're just like, I got to get rid of the diarrhea. I got to get rid of the diarrhea. And we forgot to take a step back about like, why is something happening? And two, also taking that step back when we start looking at this holistic world. I love holistic medicine because there's so many modalities, and all of us right here do different things with cats because there's so many different ways to treat. And so you never should hear there's nothing more you can do ever again because of holistic medicine and all the treatment modalities. So I'm seeing you guys. I love you guys. Like, I'm overwhelmed every damn day. Like, yes, like you're not alone. And that's really, really important. Why I love this community and coming here together with these beautiful ladies, because you are not alone. So I hope, and one of the things for myself with this talk that's really, really important is, you know, how can we take a step back, find that one big thing that can allow us that peace of mind, reduce some of that overwhelm so that we know we are moving forward, but we haven't forgot where we came from. Because I find a lot of times we end up measuring ourselves in the gap versus in the gain, right? It's so easy to say, well, this isn't working. This isn't working. You start shifting and adjusting your treatment options. And one of the big things for myself personally is making sure that I'm measuring myself backwards, whether that's for myself, whether that's for my pet's care. Like, okay, we were here a year ago. Okay, that really sucked. A year ago, things were really, really bad. Okay, 2023, January 1st, we are here now. Wow, we have made a bit of gain. Whereas if we look at like, my pet's not healed, we still have these health issues. I can't feed a homemade diet. I am so overwhelmed because I'm not doing the things that, say, Dr. Katie is saying you should do. I want you to take this as an opportunity to step back and listen to what each one of us has, because we're all going to have a different experience, different feedback, different lessons, different journey on like the holistic pet care, cat care journey that we've been on personally. And so see what resonates. See what tapping into that intuition really brings forward for you. So that's kind of like my aim that I brought, you know, my mission for this talk is, you know, how can we do better, like measuring backwards, except like sitting in the gains and finding that thing, that one thing that's really going to help lift us forward and rejuvenate us so we're not feeling so overwhelmed and anxious and stressed as we go through this next year together.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And you know what, like you said, that one big thing, but also that one little, a lot of times that little thing is that big thing, right? Yeah. A lot of times, as we all know, it's that one little thing that we've missed that we're, like you said, not seeing through the forest, through the trees, or for the trees, or whatever.
Forest for the trees.
But sometimes it's that little thing that we're either missing or that we just need to like focus on, instead of focusing on all the things. Like, focus on one little thing that can make a change. And like you said, dialing back and looking, where were we? One of those little things. And we'll give you guys some tips for you guys. And then we're going to go through and tell you guys our one thing. We challenged ourselves as a group to come up with one thing for the year. And I have to say, I have been like racking my brain, and I'll tell you about it in a minute, but I was going to say something else. That one thing.
It was going to be amazing.
It was going to be amazing.
I have to say I'm a little bit distracted by Pam's beautiful aura right now. The
I know.
sunshine is hitting her, and it's just like so beautiful. But Katie, can you say it one more time as we move forward to measure ourselves?
Wait, I just remember what I was going to say. So when Dr. Katie said measuring back, maybe one of those little things that you could do is keeping a journal so that you can measure back, right? Yeah. Like keep a journal and write down where your cat is at, whether they have a health issue or a behavioral issue or whatever that is. Being able to go back later and look at it, then you do know that there's progress. So there's a lot of little tips that we'll all come up with, I'm sure, along the way that we can give you guys. And feel free to drop questions in the comments as well. We'll be keeping up.
Yeah, but I want to keep that kind of forefront as we talk about this because, Katie, what you said is so, I love that. We have a tendency to measure ourselves in the gap instead of measuring ourselves in the gain. And I think that is a really profound statement.
Yeah, I'm going to write that down.
Yeah.
There's actually a book for anyone who's like, I love all the personal development books. I wish I had more time to read. That's one of my spaces in the new year, creating more time for that. But there is actually a book called The Gap and the Gain by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And it was a game changer for me. And looking at how I'm reflecting and when I'm feeling overwhelmed, usually I'm in that gap. And so whether that's for my own self, my own health, for anyone here, that's been here before and heard my personal story. I mean, we're going year 9 with my husband having an autoimmune disease. Like that is what led me to holistic medicine. And if we were to look at, well, he's having a flare up and said like, screw this system doesn't work. That would wreck all of the progress where we've come from. Like if I were to look back, because I talk very openly about his story, because I know so many people share that with their own personal health. And it's very similar to our pets, like health journeys is, a few years ago when his appendix ruptured, the poor man couldn't even walk to the mailbox because he had no energy. He lost like 20 pounds. And Jay and Adrian, I've seen him in person. He is not a like big dude, right? So 20 pounds off of him. And so if we forgot about that situation because we were just looking at, well, is he 100% in remission? Is every single day like, amazing energy? It would look like we failed. And so I always go back, and that's a great example of being able to go, okay, today might be a harder day. Today, maybe, my cat Moki is having some more pain than he used to, but where were we a week ago? Where were we a month ago? And that gives me that momentum to keep going forward, because sometimes that motivation is really hard, right? Where you're like, this sucks. This is hard. We're kind of working through that right now with like herbs and stuff. Like getting herbs in cats can be difficult. And so you'd be like, screw this. Like this sucks. But it's also one of those things where were we 3 months ago? Is this working? How can we adjust? How can we adapt? What can we tweak and change so that we're always trying to stay in that gain versus moving into the gap, which is like that valley of despair that they talk about that so many of us go through. So I think that's just a huge, like it's a concept that can change your entire life for yourself and for your pets. And so, it's just a different way of looking at things.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's talk a little bit about our one thing. Julianne Thorne, what is your one thing in 2023 that you want to do for yourself or your cats or both? Because it's all the same, really, right?
It is, it totally. And just before I answer that, I just want to comment on Katie's Valley of Despair. Was that what you said? Is that
yeah,
what you
it's
said?
a Valley of Despair. We all go through it before we come out of it.
I think that's a great term, and being there and at times really in there, and I think it's important, like you said, to like be aware that you're there and it's okay to be there. Kind of be present and be accepting of your kind of current state. When we talk about the one thing, it doesn't mean it's going to cure and fix everything, but sometimes it helps you to focus on one thing, because then you have space in your head, in your heart, in your capacity to kind of breathe and function day to day if you just focus on one thing. So for me, I've got one thing for the boys and one thing for me. So, and like you said, Jay, it's all completely connected. So for Leo, I want to get him completely off his asthma inhaler. So we've had a bit of a flare up over Christmas. I didn't have a Christmas tree, but I was dealing with a lot of anxiety, and it's no surprise that because they are our mirrors, that he then couldn't breathe and had to have his asthma pump, his asthma inhaler. So we are coming back down again now. I'm coming out of my valley of despair. I love that term. And, I'm able to find some light, to feel into some light in myself, in my circumstance, in my day to day. And we're able to get him off it now. He's only having one puff every other day instead of like twice a day every day. So, I know, right? Props for Leo. So for him, it's to have him off the inhaler, and to also, that links into my one thing, which is to be present, because I've realized that, and I know we've said this before on another live, and I didn't really get it then. I thought I did, but I didn't, because they're always teaching us. So like, Leo isn't a very physically affectionate cat. So he does like little head boops, on your leg, or a lot of the times you go to stroke him and he slinks underneath. So any physical contact that I have with him, I truly cherish, because I'm a cuddler. Like, if you come to meet me, you're going to get a squish, and I had a very
Oh, I love that.
I want a squish.
2023 year of squishes. So any, like I said before we started, he came over onto picked him and put him on my lap earlier, and he was there for like 10 minutes. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I've got a live in like 20 minutes. I'm like, can I cancel it? Should I show up? Do you know what? If he hasn't moved, I'm going to just try and do it on my phone. And I thought, do you know what? That's 20 minutes away. I'm not going to worry about it. I am going to sit here and enjoy him on my lap. And I thought, when it gets to 6:25, then I'll deal with, getting Max in and shutting the flap and all this other stuff. But I was like, no, right now I'm going to be present with my boy. And I really felt a different sitting on my lapness. It was different. Because I'm an energy worker, so my hands got warm, which just goes to show how much love and energy there was between us. And it was really quite emotional. And it's like 15 minutes on my lap, you could just be like, oh, thanks, bud, that's great, because I was thinking of other things. But actually, when I took it back a little to be just him and I in this moment, like, all the other stuff I've got to deal with is still all there, but actually it was really beautiful. So that's my one stroke two things, get him off the inhaler, and also recognize that when he starts to cough again, I probably aren't being as present as I could be, or my anxiety is starting to creep in and I'm not really conscious of it. So do you know what? Let's use him as my mirror and look at myself when that happens. So
I love that so much. It is so important. Adrian is really good about being present with the cats specifically, right? So when cats come up, I'm not. I'm more like what's the next thing I have to do? What's that? Okay, hi. Get out of my way, like, but it is so important. And those little tiny moments on my run this morning, which that's one of the things for myself that from our last speak, I put myself back into a morning routine. It's not super long. I don't have time to read yet, but I am going for my run and doing a little workout, and this is all really good for me. But this morning on my run, I decided to stop because I noticed my head was just going. And so I stopped, and I was like, let me look up at the clouds, let me look at the mountains, and let me take a deep breath and stop thinking about the day. And all of a sudden I saw all these birds. They were just there was a hummingbird and then a mockingbird, and then all these, they all just came up, and I was like, now, did I just attract that, or am I only seeing that because I finally decided to be present? Either way, it was fantastic, because that being present is such an important thing for us.
Yeah, very, very much so. I had a beautiful journal for Christmas with my name embossed on it, and it is now my grateful book. And every night before I go to bed, I write a page. And it's really easy to think of things like, I don't know, I'm trying to sort through my house, I sold a chair or whatever. But actually, what I've started to realize is, what are the little things, because they give me more pleasure and gratitude. One of them will be tonight, 15 minutes, 20 minutes lap cuddles with Leo, and actually sitting there and writing it and then feeling it again, because that's where the kind of, I don't know, the relief of the anxiety and the busy brain and all that stuff, it's always there. like always, and it's always getting bigger. And my to-do list, I may tick things off, but more comes at the bottom. And I feel so grateful that I have these two boys in my life. And I miss Pickle, the cat that came before, but actually, like, the ones that we have with us are with us for a reason. And if what was that?
Somebody just rang the doorbell. Sorry. It's okay. It's fine.
Do you want to grab it?
No, it's just a delivery.
That's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. We're being presidents.
We're being president.
Yes. I lost my mojo, but yes, that's the essence.
Pam, tell us about you. What have you been thinking? What is your one thing?
Well, I got separate things for the cats, and I got some stuff for me. Let me start with the cats. So I discovered just in recent months that the house that I'm living in has a I don't know if it's a fake wood floor, but whatever. It is emitting formaldehyde, as probably a lot of wood floors do because of the way they're treated or the materials used or whatever. And it was affecting me. And I didn't realize it, but I did my wonderful mind, body, spirit release sessions on myself. And I found that, thyroid was out. Well, why is thyroid out? Because of a toxin. I had to go find the source of the toxin causing the thyroid issues. And it was formaldehyde. I'm like, well, hell, how do I get formaldehyde?
Hell, formaldehyde.
I'm like, no. Well, I traced it to the flooring. And so now I'm very sensitive about regular detox, but I realized that, and I go barefoot a lot. So if it's getting into my body from my feet, what is it doing to them? And it was just like one of those aha moments, like, I didn't have this problem in my other house because all the floors were tile. So this is like a first time, like, oh, shift focus. I've got to really focus on regular detox for them because I don't want thyroid issues for them. I don't want health problems seeping into the picture. They're very healthy cats. I mean, they have little allergies here and there, which I'm working on gut, but it's like, it was just one of those, okay, I got to pay attention to something that I've never had to pay attention to. So that was that. And now it's like clockwork. Okay, every few weeks, we're going to do this, and we're going to really pay attention to getting their bodies cleaned out from environmental toxins that just, out of sight, out of mind. We don't see it. Therefore, we don't know it's there, but it is,
Yeah.
So that was a big aha moment because I work on cats every day for other people and they have thyroid issues and they have gut issues and they have all this. And I'm like, it was just one of those little bells that went off in my head. I'm like, my cats will end up down that path if I don't intercede now and start being more conscious about regular detox for them. So that is what I'm working on for them. And as for myself, besides just the regular detox, which is kind of my regular thing, I heard this really cool interview with Dr. Joseph Mercola. Like somebody was interviewing, he did a documentary about his life himself and all this. And it was just so cool to listen. He is such an amazing man. And in his documentary, he's talked about like things he personally does for his own personal growth and development, things like that. And one of the things was every night, think of 3 things you are most grateful for that happened that day. So I'm getting into this routine, like every night before I go to bed, I'm really focused on, okay, what happened today? And like you said, Jay, it's not necessarily the big things. It's the little things that may have happened, that just put a smile on your face or being present. Like Julianne said, just being present for 10 or 15 minutes with a cat in your lap without thinking about all these other things you got to do and just tune in. Just those little moments. Just find 3 things you can be grateful for every single day, because when you can feel that gratitude in your heart, it is like it's like the ripple effect. You throw a pebble in the pond and the ripple effect goes out and out and out and it grows. You put that sense of gratitude out there into the universe, into your energy field, and it will keep going and getting bigger and bigger. And you draw more of that wonderful stuff that we can be grateful for back to you.
I love that. I have a blessing jar beside my bed on my nightstand. And I was gifted this over a year ago. And I was like, this is great. I'm going to write down at least one thing that I'm like most grateful for every day and put it in. And that reminds me that I should use it.
I know.
Also, so the detox thing, that is actually I think that's just a great tip for everyone as well, because there's no way, whether it's the floors when you're renting a home or, there's things that we cannot escape. None of us can escape all the toxins, right? For ourselves and for our cats. And doing like a routine, and this is really small, right? Like adding milk thistle to your cat's food once a week is one little thing that can really help, help to, start the process. Maybe
right.
do it every day, but you can, like adding something that's like a nice detox to our cat systems. And that's something else a nice detox to our cat, a nice soft detox. But that's something that, I also don't do unless it's like a very random, I think about it. And then like today I probably will, because
I thought get freaked out about something. You're like, oh my God, I'm going to need a detox.
Yeah.
Then you go into hyper focus. But if we can make it a part of our regular quarterly routine, just put it on your calendar, 3 weeks. I'm going to do a chemical cleanse. I'm going to do a liver support with that. And every quarter, do that for yourself, do that for your cats, because we do have a toxic accumulation in our body. It's called a toxic burden, and it's not stuff that we can see, but it is there, and it does affect your health on a cellular level. So, I was working on a cat this week that got a rash, and I said, what has anything new changed in your home? She goes, oh yeah, we got this new futon from Sam's. And I'm like, well, it's got flame retardants, and that's why he is reacting like that. So now it's covered in sheets, but it's stuff like that. We don't even recognize the toxins around us in our home. So, it's just good. It's just good to just put yourself on a regular program for detoxing your cats and your pets. It can make a huge difference.
Oh my gosh, this is I'm feeling so.
And yes, Rob, I had a Disney princess moment.
I was going to say that's so fantastic. Like Julianne talking about being present, Pam talking about detoxing. And again, this is not to be overwhelming. It's like you realize that there are these little things that you can start just remembering to do that can make a big difference.
Like yours. What is yours? Adrian, what is your one thing this year that you're going to be doing?
For our babies, for our cats, I decided, our Oliver Twist is 18. He's one of those cats. He's going to be 19 this year. He's one of those cats that you can get easily overwhelmed with. He's got kidney issues now. We're watching a growth that he's got in his mouth. He's an older cat, and you're going to see more and more issues. So it's easy to be overwhelmed. Like, what are the supplements? Did we do this? I forgot to put that in today, whatever. Yeah. For me, the one thing is going to be realizing that he's always been the most perfect cat, but I'm starting to notice a difference with his coat. And every now and then, I try to give our cats a rub down every, couple of days at least, to make sure I'm not feeling any bumps or lumps or weird stuff or litter balls or anything like that. And with Twist, I'm making a commitment to at least 3 times a week, sit him down for a good grooming session, make sure I'm helping him. He grooms everyone, but he is getting, he grooms everyone else, but he's starting to slack on himself. And I wanted to put out there too, that since I started doing this just the last few weeks, he's one of those cats that doesn't like to be brushed, he does not like to be groomed.
He didn't.
Well, at all. I mean, he would just run away or walk away or whatever it is. And we hear that from a lot of people that are dealing with their cats having a coat issue. And I think it's a great, he has, again, been such a great teacher that it is a little bit that making the effort a little bit over time, he's recognizing that I'm trying to help him. And last night when I pulled the brush out, he came to me.
Yeah. He was on my chest I was laying on the couch and and we were having, which is a beautiful time. He usually won't move at all, but Adrian walks up with the brush and he's like, oh, and just like ran over to her. And I was like, yeah, he likes brushings now.
Yeah. So that is my one thing for Oliver Twist.
That's your bonding time. That's so beautiful.
And when you think about it, like the energy, right? The energy around like, oh, he needs to be brushed or whatnot. And you're just going through this session, whatever. Yes. Motions. You're just going through it. And he's like, oh, I don't really want to brush. But then when it's like, I'm going to sit down and be present and brush and give him this.
Well, and realizing too, like he wants to be brushed very gently along his back. He likes, like when you are present and when it is something that's like, I want to do this to help him. It's not some big thing. I'm not like coming up with a great new supplement that's going to help his kidney issues. I'm really just, doing something to help him because he's no longer doing that himself. Right. And there's different ways, like how he likes to be brushed on his head versus under his neck versus on his hind haunches, and being present and spending that time, I realized that maybe he's loved brushing all along or being groomed all along. I just wasn't being present enough to do it the way he wanted it done.
There is a real fine line with brushing, like you can do it functionally, which is just like, you kind of, get at it and you have a good go. And like you said, I love the bit where you shared there, Adrian, about, he has different types of brushes in different places because like all cats are like that, regardless of their age, but even more so when they're older. They're tender, they're sore, it might be a bit knotted, it's a bit uncomfortable, that muscles are tight. So for you to be able to read him and know that he likes soft, long, gentle strokes around his neck or like short, gentle ones on his, hips, I think that's beautiful because that is true respect for these beings that we call our pets, for these family members, for these people, these animals that we love and we share our homes with. That is so beautiful to be present and to see that and to enjoy that moment. That makes me all tingly. That's just lovely.
He really is just constantly the best teacher. I wish you'd come say hello.
I think, what's interesting too with that too, because I love that. And I think it's so important, like to also see, like with that, when you are brushing him, Julian touched on it a little bit, like as our cats get older and we're incorporating these like self-care sessions with them and we're tapping into that connection that we have with them, like if you're noticing that there's changes or shifts where he doesn't want the brush, then that can tell you that there's something going on in that area. If we're feeling heat along where the kidneys are, right at the back of the spine, right where the rib cage ends, those are right where the kidneys are. If we're noticing they're shifting away or slinking, away, like, is there some hip pain or do we have pain or arthritis that's developing? And what's nice about that is, because I find this is the problem with conventional medicine, is we have to wait for degeneration to occur before we start taking action. We need that diagnosis. So just, let's just wait and see, right? Who's here heard that? Let's wait and see. I know all of us have, and I think it's one of those things where when we start integrating these new routines, if we don't have one in place, we get so much closer to our cats and connected to them. So we can identify health issues before they truly become a health issue. That's so much harder to reverse. And especially like 18-year-old cats, 20-year-old cats, 22-year-old cats. Yes, we have aging concerns where we can help them, but it's going to give you a better idea how to adapt what you're doing. So it's more effective in the long run and they just have that greater quality of life and live longer too.
Sweet. I know he's got to live a lot longer. So
yeah, I mean, like I want him to like.
So Jay, what's your thing?
Glad you asked. Thank you.
She's been going back and forth on this since
dying to know.
Literally since we came up with it. So here's my thing. So every single year for the past, like, I don't know, at least 3 years, my New Year's resolution has been to start engaging in routine playtime with the cats, because I know how important that is, especially now with the younger ones, Zorro specifically. It's, like they really want the playtime. He specifically wants engagement with humans, not just the other cats. And
Dr. Katie knows this well.
Yes.
Pam as well. Pam,
yes.
Yes.
So that's been my goal, but every year that's been like my New Year's resolution, and I have failed every single year because our scheduler is just all over the place. So I was like, okay, I want that to be my like one thing I actually stick to, and maybe if I say it out loud to you guys, then I'll hold myself to it. But when could I actually do that? So I was sitting on the pot the other day and I thought, you know what? I usually have a moment between 4 and 5, whether it's either 4 to 4:30 or 4:30 to 5.
When on the pot? Or, no, not on the pot. Okay, this is
very regular.
I just had to clarify.
Very regular. It's my thinking time. And I was like, you know what? I could sometime between 4 and 5 every day. I probably could take at least 15 to 20 minutes and do this. And then I started thinking, and then I was just like, it was going through my head, and I was like, no, we've got like we still do that at 4, and then those days we can't do it. So I can't do that. And then like literally, Adrian was in the shower. We're getting ready for this live, and I was getting ready. I was like putting on my makeup, and I was like, I got it. This is what we do. This is what
light bulb.
The light bulb moment. I was like, every night we feed them, and that is a routine. It's not always at night time. It's not always the same time, but it is like they get ready for dinner time, and it takes, we feed a bless you.
Ah.
You stole it.
It's so good.
We feed a raw food diet, right? And so it takes some time to prep, and they all have like different like supplements and things that they need to be on. And so it's like a 45 minute process to prep dinner at night. And that is a time in which we can play with the cats. Well, one of us can start the food while the other one is engaging with the cats. And we always say it like, it's really good if you play with your cats prior to mealtime, because it takes them through that like prey sequence, and then they're following up. So it really, it's really good for enrichment for our kitties, but we don't usually do that. I mean, we've very rarely done that. I mean, they like to play in the morning when I get up, they get the zoomies and they play with each other and things like that. And before I feed them, but we don't engage with them. And so that's my one thing. I am going to start playing with them before dinner every single night. And that can happen every single night because it is our schedule to feed them. We're not going to let them starve. We're not going to not feed them.
Love that.
Fabulous. That's it. You bring it into the routine, bring in the changes that you want to make into already established routines, and they are much more likely to stick. Absolutely.
Yes.
Love it.
Yeah. Beautifully said. Yes, exactly. Because the routine is the hard part, right? It's like, especially as we get older, it's like we're already stuck in a routine, like, so getting up 30 minutes earlier, or, we might be able to do that. And that's why it usually fails, right? Whatever this is, our New Year's resolution is that we're going to like change something, and it works for like a month, or, they say by April, everybody's New Year's resolutions have like gone away. Like a huge percentage of people didn't actually make it a routine because it is.
I usually flop by February. So
I was gonna say, I'm talking like this, probably the 6th of January, maybe.
Right.
That was a good idea.
I'm a fast failure. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, most people, think about gym memberships. I think gyms are a great example of like January 1st, best year shape of my life. And then all of a sudden, February 1st, you cancel your membership and memberships go down. And so it's one of those things where I think the biggest thing is we can't rely on motivation. We have to go to what is the bigger reason for doing this? Like, what is the purpose? What is the gain that we get? And if the gain is too small, most of the time we won't stick with it. But if the gain is like we get twist living to be 25, 30 years old because we're implementing this routine, then hell yeah, I'm doing it. Yep. If the gain, like for example, our household, like my Kiwi cat is my big one, where she is so connected to me. She's our stressy kitty. She's so vocal, follows me all over the house. And giving her that time and space every single night to sit with me and actually be present with her, because presence and awareness are my big things. I know I said 2 things, but those are my big things. I'm grouping them together because they are very connected with one another. And, I think it's really, really important to find what is the most important thing to you. It's not necessarily the one thing, and it doesn't have to be a massive thing, but what is the most important thing? Because if it's not important to you, it's not going to make it into the routine. It's not going to make it into the daily habit. And so if it's For example, a lot of people like cat parents, like transitioning to a fresh food diet. That's hard as hell, right? Like we've all been through our own journeys with that. So here's an idea. Rather than setting the deadline of the transition to the food, January 31st, if it doesn't work, we failed. We've got a year to work on this. Like this is my main focus for the entire year. I'm in it to win it. This is really important to me. I know this is a foundation of health. I can slowly start transitioning. I know there's going to be ups and downs because that's the journey. But what's that end goal? What is the importance of it? How is it going to impact my cat's health? How am I going to feel along this path? Feeling that, tapping into how you're going to feel in that state, right, is key to making that become a reality. If you don't actually step into that feeling, then it's not going to happen. If I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just get kiwi onto a raw food diet, it'll be great. Like that's what Dr. Katie said I should do. But if we don't tap into why we're actually doing it, how we're going to feel, and the benefits that we're going to receive, it's not going to work. Yeah. And I find that something where a lot of people, I see it in the comments too, like if we're trying different things, we're trying different modalities, if you don't believe in it, or if it's like too hard for where you're at, or you're not resonating with it, like don't kill yourself over like trying to stick with it. What's a different modality we can shift to that really resonates, what you're feeling in your intuition, because like I said at the beginning, there's so many different holistic medicine options. And the other piece to this too, when we're talking about the one big thing, is this is a journey. That time frame, we get so stuck that we have to get there. Like that timeline is so short. And a lot of times, especially on this holistic path, this holistic journey, it is a long journey. And we have to shift those realistic expectations. And like that one thing for me is really dialing in that. What are those realistic expectations? How do I cut out that noise that's happening? Really tap into being present and aware with the things that truly light me up. And I know that's generic. However, I feel at peace with that. And it's changed. It's changed like within like 2 months. And these ladies know, I can be prone to being like stressed and like, I got to do all the things and run around like a chicken with my head cut off. Julian's like, no, not at all. Right.
I would never have thought that about you.
Never.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. It'll be fine. We're going to be okay. It's fine. And you're like flames coming out of your head and sizzling, right? So it's like, that is the thing where when we take it back and we strip away the things that truly matter and we look at what we love, your to-do list gets less. The things that you have to do for your cats. Like, do you really need to do that? It's like what Pam was saying. Like, if you're stressed about having to give something every single day and it's creating more stress in the household, your cats are feeling it. So give it every other day. That's a great thing about supplements and like even herbal medicine. Pulse treating can actually work better for the body. So if you're having a hard time, or you're like in a toxic environment and your floors are emitting formaldehyde, or you live in an environment like we live in here where we lost 3 pets to cancer and they spray glyphosate on everything and douse us with mosquito like insecticides, I know I have to integrate detox stuff for myself, for my cats, for my family every single week. It's just a rotation. I look in my cabinet and I'm like, today we're doing the liver tonic from Adored Beasts. Okay. A couple of days, we're going to add the kidney and liver support from Dr. Mercola. And I rotate brands and every day they're getting something a little bit different. Sometimes we keep with like gut health supplements, depending on how the cat's doing, how I feel, how they're feeling. And that's really, really important. So I think make your lives easier this year. Like take a step back and go, what is working, what's not working? And let's strip away to the things that I want to do that are going to truly help me.
Yeah.
I think the question that comes before that, just exactly like you said, is what matters to me? What matters to me about my cat this year? What matters to me about my cat's health, my cat's well-being? Is it my cat's age? What's the one thing you can do for your cats? What's the one thing that matters to you? Do you want longevity? Do you want enrichment? Do you know what I mean? You can answer like you said, put in place the goals, the things, the stuff to do. Once you know what really matters to you, that will be your driver. That will bring about the change that you want.
Yeah.
And I think it's important. I know a lot of people do kind of feel overwhelmed. They have no idea, like, what does matter to me? I don't know what matters to me. And just kind of be like, dismiss it. I'm not going to put the work into figuring that out. I think that energy, like we've all kind of touched on, that energy of us really being able to identify what's motivating it and sinking into that motivation, that feeling, that is the game changer. So if you don't know what matters, just start with that. Start paying attention to what really resonates.
Right.
I think that is the first step. You know, when we came up with this idea, it's like, Julianne, the one thing for this podcast, for this live, what is the one thing? And it's like, ooh, and I would find myself taking time to think about it and be like, I really don't know. I don't know. I mean, we do this, we do that, blah, 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 blah. Like, we're talking about individually, like overwhelmed, stop thinking about it. And instead of just getting overwhelmed and dismissing it, really spending time to figure it out. And yeah, like for me, it's my Oliver twist. Like, this is one thing, super small, but one thing that is a big deal to me, right?
And a big deal to him.
Because it means something to me. I feel it. I sink into that.
Yep.
Coming up with being able to, that enrichment for our cats, putting it into a routine, which is so important.
And that is a big deal for him. I don't know if you remember, but we had an animal communication session with him a while back. And one of the things that he said is that he really loves when, you know, the other cats are just kind of like not there and we're engaging with him. And he said he loves it when we whisper in his ear, because we always like, I think we both do, but I always like his fur smells so like he's our
sniffy cat
in the past life. And he's so perfect. So I always like whisper and I love you so much. So he feels the vibrations in his body. And he said he likes that. So this is something that's really going to, I didn't even think about that. Yeah. I didn't even until just now either. But yeah, that's really going to help him. So since we only have about 13 minutes left.
Wait, did Katie cover her thing and her cat's thing?
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So my cat's thing, Kiwi, giving space, time, and then for myself being present and aware. I wanted to touch on one thing because I see a comment and I wanted to kind of touch on that just a little bit, where when we talk about, and I find this is something that kind of creates a little riff, right, in this community, especially when we come from, because I want people to know, like, I came from conventional medicine, still use science, still use conventional medicine, but I can integrate it in with a holistic approach. And a lot of times pet parents, when they're new to this area or they're not familiar with it, they don't truly understand what the word holistic means. It's not that it's against science. It's not that we're against medications. There's always a time and a place that we need drugs and support. But this goes into that big thing. And what we've been talking about at a higher level today is that holistic approach is about everything. It's about the environment. It's about your emotional health. It's about your physical health. It's about the types of foods that your cats thrive on. And that's not a dry food that's made by humans, by the way. It's a species appropriate, whole food diet. And this is why we talk about how do we help transition our cats to that, because a lot of times we either adopt or rescue cats that are already addicted to a processed food. It's like the slogan, once you stop, once you pop, you can't stop, with the potato chips, right, on the human side. So when we're talking about holistic, we're looking at all these pillars of health and how we fit into that and how we fit into that environment with our cats and how we can optimize those different areas of health so that we can reach ideal health. And I see it all the time. And I see in a couple comments where you go to the vet for a symptom and they tell you it's normal. That symptom may be common, but it's not normal. So for example, like poor Nina, I see like her cat's intestines flipped or had an obstruction, something happened. That doesn't naturally happen. There's something that led to that. And when we take that holistic approach and we take a step back and we start looking at, well, what is the environment I live in? Are there more toxins? Is my pet's detox pathways working well? We know that there's over 85,000 toxins we're exposed to every single year. And we also see it on the health side. We're working with patients every single day that our pets aren't detoxing properly. Neither are we. Things are getting harder. And then we layer the emotional health component that's affecting that cellular level. Also, the mitochondria, those energy powerhouses of the cells, and they're not working as well. This is why we see more autoimmune disease. This is why we see more chronic health disease. This is why we see more cancer in our pets. And so I think it's really important when we use this terminology, that we don't get stuck in like, oh, she's a woo-woo vet, or, you know, Pam works with energy and Julianne does, you know, this woo-woo. We have to, there is an element of being able to tap into quantum physics and this other realm. And that is truly needed for healing at this time. So when we talk about these tools and these methods, it's all about integrating in these different tools together to get the best results. And that's where there's so many different options. So I think that's really, really important. It's not just, you know, we're bringing cats into our homes. That's not natural environment, right? We're bringing them in for us. If it was truly natural, they'd be living out in the wild, right? But we look at how they descended, how we domesticated them. And so we do have to adapt and shift the way that we also help support them. So that way we can give them the most natural ways to support their body. So I don't know if that helps a little bit, but I find that a lot of people get stuck in definitions and also the wrong definitions of things and what we're trying to truly accomplish with our cats and our dogs.
Yeah. I think holistic, the term holistic should start with the W. I think you said that, Dr. Katie, at some point, or somebody did, because it's the holistic. We're looking at the whole cat, right? Like we're looking at our pets from the 30,000 foot perspective, not just like symptomatic care, which is most
conventional medicine,
right? Where it's like, let's treat the symptom, not the whole. Now, just to go back, because early on, before we even got into our one things, I saw somebody said that they wanted their cats to lose, or one of their cats to lose weight this year. What's one thing, Dr. Katie, that you would say if you're on the path and you're like, my cat's overweight, I need him to lose weight? What's one little thing that you would tip of advice that you would give?
Yeah, this is kind of hard because I don't know the full situation. So like, I don't know the diet, I don't know like the stress levels, like all these things do play a part, but I don't want to overwhelm. So I'd first look at the diet, and if we're feeding, like if we're free feeding, I would switch from free feeding. So making sure that it's not an all-day cat buffet, because cats are not good. Most cats, there are some cats, don't get me wrong, that will self-regulate, but most cats are not good at self-regulating. So especially if we are using a dry food out all day long, it does create more inflammation. It's not supporting optimal gut health, and it can create more insulin resistance. So we're affecting those hormones that are essential for helping them to lose weight. So that would be one thing I would start with if that is off.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. And Nina and anyone else in the comments, just so you guys know, Jennifer Lopez, Jennifer Lopez is dropping some links, but we also have the link to every single one of these beautiful ladies, their websites in the description of this post. So
I have to say one thing, because Dr. Woodley, what you just said about the holistic, you know, how sometimes we have misunderstandings. I was one of the, we're laughing my ass off when we first met Pam Russell and the woo-woo. Like, I didn't know what kinesiology was, but I think, and I literally thought, like, what is this woo-woo girl up with? When we don't know, we tend to, you know, make fun of it or do whatever. Yeah, dismiss it, right? Not recognize there's value there. What a great way of saying that, you know, using different tools. And that's how I've often referred to what Pam Russell has done for us and the life-changing difference she's made, especially in Pooh Bear's life. But she's touched every one of our cats' lives in some way. I do think that it's so important that, you know, you take an issue like a cat peeing outside the litter box. First, they go to the medical vet to make sure that there's not a urinary tract issue or something going on. And it's like, well, why are they doing that? You know, do we have, you know, Julianne looking at like the behavioral aspect of things? Like, do they have enough resources? Are they feeling what is the emotional, there's just so incredible. And then Pam, like, is there something that you can test for to see if there's something that's bothering them? Or there are so many tools. And I'm using this example because so many cats get kicked back to a shelter because it's so inconvenient for the human and nobody knows why they're doing it. They've been to the vet and it's not a medical issue, so they're out. You guys, we have so many tools in this toolbox now that we can utilize in this holistic way to really help our cats live their best life and help us live our best life as well. Sorry.
Do you notice that Madison? She's just like
Madison's
chilling
down here.
She's
checking everything out.
Yeah. So you guys, I mean, energy's a real thing. You guys just bring this little
bring
girl.
a little baby girl.
She's been upstairs for months. Yeah, it's her safe space. She doesn't come down often. So thank you both.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions or any other tips that you guys have for like one thing? I want to throw out there the fresh food thing just because the studies have shown that literally not even going through a full transition to a better diet, but adding instead, just like replace 20%, 10%, a spoonful of fresh food into your cat's diet can reduce disease markers like more than you would even imagine, just by adding a small amount of fresh food. And we mean fresh food like human grade food, right? Like cooked chicken or turkey, gently cooked or even raw, because that's the goal is to get them onto a fully species appropriate diet. But a little bit of steamed broccoli, even, or anything that they can consume that would be
fresh broccoli.
Yeah, she likes fresh broccoli. But adding something in fresh to each meal is one of those things that everybody can do. It's not expensive. It doesn't break the bank. Most of everyone is making food for themselves anyway, so you don't even have to go out and buy something extra. I think that's one great, in my opinion, tip that everybody can do for the new year with your cats. Do you guys have any other tips?
I think food's really important. It is the foundation. Food. Katie talked about the pillars of health. With regards to it being holistic, and food. Diet, nutrition, what goes in affects the body phenomenally. I think nutrition is really key. So if you are unsure if you're feeding your cat well, or you want to make changes, be kind with yourself, do it slowly, do a little bit at a time. Like Kate said, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not a sprint. It doesn't just happen in a month or by the deadline that you want it to. Mm-hmm. And actually, it's more likely not to happen if you set a deadline, because you will stress yourself out, and your stress and your energy and your emotions will impact your cat and their eating. I think for me, like, if you're not sure, when Adrienne mentioned about you don't know what your reason is, like what your why is, like what you want to focus on, have a think about the area that you have this last year or the last year focused on. Did you do a lot to the environment? Did you bring in an extra cat tree? Did you bring in, cat shelves or another bed or a sleeping space? Or, did you look at environment? If so, perhaps now you can look at the physical, look at nutrition, look at supplements, look at energy health, or is it emotional? So look at which area, physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual, like energetic. What can you focus on? Why was everybody smiling?
Another comment, Rob. I love Rob.
Yeah. I agree with the bacon.
A little bit of bacon.
I can see you smoked. I'm like, I've missed the joke. What have I said that's funny again?
He's talking about a little extra treat.
The truth.
Okay. I was thinking it's someone to squidge. I get so easily distracted.
So do we.
We keep doing it to you, though. This is the second time.
I can read you all. I can see your faces. I can see what's going on. So despite you looking at me, I'm like, I know that I've lost them.
Yeah, it's so good. I do have.
Don't be sorry, Rob. It's fine. It's fine. Yes. So if you focus on environment, think about what's the one area that you could look at, and then go from there. Pam, over to you.
No, I was just going to say, people get so bogged down into their diagnosis, and it's a label. And I want people to think, I want them to shift the way they think. I want them to stop zeroing in on a diagnosis and a symptom. And I want them to step back and start to think, what caused this? And you are going to have to go down some rabbit holes probably, but do some research and go look at the symptoms and look what causes these kind of symptoms. And then start looking back over your cat's years, months, days, whatever. When did this symptom start? What happened? There was always a marker in time that if you're really diligent, you can go back to and go, my cat was great up until then. What happened? What were we doing at the time? Were we putting on certain topical medications? Were we giving them vaccines? Did they start eating a food that was highly processed? You just have to go do some put your detective hat on and start thinking, what is the root cause? Instead of saying, what can I do to treat this diarrhea? We just have this ongoing diarrhea. I'm like, well, why do you have the diarrhea? That's the question we should be asking, is why? We need to learn to ask the why, and then go do the digging and try to put a timeline together, because these things don't happen overnight. When the body starts showing you symptoms, things have been going on cellularly for a while. They're just kind of bubbling up to the surface. And now it's like, hello, we have a problem. So you have to change how you think.
Yeah.
That's my best advice.
I agree.
I love it. So
Yeah,
sorry.
I
Katie, what's
think
your one thing?
yes, 100% Pam. We're actually doing a root cause masterclass, how to identify the root cause. That is tomorrow at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So we actually have a link on our Facebook page, Instagram. If you can't find it, just email us, and more than happy to share that with you so you can register, because it's free. Because this is where I love what you said, Pam, at the end there. I always tell people, why are you using something? So why are you using milk thistle?
Mhm.
Why are you using a joint supplement? Why are you using a gut health supplement? Why are you using a medication? Why is that symptom there? When we ask better questions, we get better answers. I love that quote, right? And it's so, so, so important. And we're always on a spectrum of health. So we're either moving towards disease or we're moving towards optimal health. And we're always going to be on the spectrum. And as we get closer to disease, this is where we start seeing symptoms. It's a check engine light, and things have been going on for a long time before we even see symptoms, because it's building up, and we have to cross a threshold before we can even get symptoms. And those symptoms have to occur for a while before we even get a diagnosis. I love when people come to me and they say, they don't know what's wrong with my cat. Like, they're showing all these symptoms. I'm like, great. Let's move back, but we haven't fallen off that metaphorical cliff yet. This is much easier to heal before you actually do get a diagnosis. And so it's going back through and taking that step back. And so, I think for moving forward, going right back to the very beginning where Jay mentioned a diary, a journal, and literally journaling about your pet's energy, the supplements that you're giving, and the food, and incorporate that into your nightly or morning routine, and spend 1 minute, just a few points, to start seeing those patterns, because things are either fluctuating, going down towards health, or they're moving you closer towards disease. And if you can pick up on the things that your cat is resonating with and the things they're not resonating with, and when the environment is changing, when you're feeling stressed, it will make it so much easier for you to support optimal health in your cat. So honestly, that journal is like the cheapest thing, one of the easiest things, and it doesn't take a lot of time, and it can open an entire world of health for your cats. So that would be kind of my last
Luna already commented she's going to be there tomorrow for the root cause webinar. I love that you're offering that to our community for free. What a great way to start off 2023 and kind of simplify. I think a lot of us get stuck on the overwhelm and the feeling of helplessness, like they notice something, and how empowering it is to do a little bit of our own research, to just think about things a little bit, and then to have so many tools at our disposal to really start being proactive and take steps forward.
Like all of you beautiful ladies.
I love you guys so much.
Again, all of their links are in the description here if you guys want to check them out more. The Natural Pet Doctor, which is Dr. Katie Woodley, just drops the link right here in the comments. So you guys sign up and join that free webinar, because then you can all pick your one thing that is going to help your cats live the longest, healthiest, and happiest lives possible.
I know we're a little bit over already, but any final thoughts? Is anyone chomping at the bit to say anything else before we wrap up our first roundtable of 2023?
I think honestly, accountability, right? So once we share it, right, it's out in the universe, it's more likely for it to happen. So if people feel comfortable and safe space here, drop it in the comments so we can cheer you on, because the more support you have, it makes it easier to dial in those goals and help you achieve that one big thing that you want for 2023.
Yes.
Love it. Julianne, I think you're about to say something as well.
I was going to say I could talk for hours about cats, but we do have to wrap it up. So the only thing I was going to say is, I know we're going to talk more about it next time, is that I am hosting the second Holistic Cat Conference next month, 25th and 26th of February. So it's back for another year by popular demand. So it's over 2 days. It's a free online conference. You do need to register, and I will get the link. I'm not that organized. I can just drop it like Katie did. You do need to register for space, get details. And we are talking, like Katie mentioned, about these holistic options. So it's not alternative, it's holistic. So we're looking at essential oils, food therapy, gut health, homeopathy, chakras. We've got kidney disease. You know, we've got a real mixture. So you need to register your space to come and join us. But that's on the 25th and 26th of February. So I will put a link for everybody to register to come and join us for that.
Yay. Oh my goodness. I love you ladies so much. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this beautiful 2023 kickoff.
I'm not ready to get on with my Monday. I just want to hang out all day long.
Yeah,
I love you guys.
She wants to be present, but
I want to
things
stay
that have
present
to be
right
done.
here.
So it's fine.
We
it's
have
fine.
a lot to do. So grateful for all of you guys again for just sharing all your amazing insights. So grateful for everyone joining us here. I feel like 2023 is going to be the best
Fire.
year.
It's going to be fire. Yes. Yes. Okay. We love you guys so much, and we will see you again next month. Mwah.
Love you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. See you soon.